What if the person you are most afraid of disappointing does not actually exist? Lock your eyes on that question for a second, because right now, somewhere deep in your neurology, you are performing for an audience that isn't there. You are tailoring your decisions, dulling your ambition, and editing your authentic voice to appease a ghost. That ghost is the collective judgment of people who are so consumed by their own insecurities that they wouldn't even notice if you flew to the moon or crashed into the sea. Today, we are going to prosecute that ghost, drag it into the light, and execute it in front of your very eyes. Because until you do, you will never taste the raw, untamed power of your own potential. Let's start with the psychology, the infamous spotlight effect. Psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky proved that human beings massively overestimate how much others notice their flaws, failures, or daily choices. You walk into a room and think every single eye is dissecting your shirt, your accent, your gait, or your last business mistake. But here is the brutal, liberating truth. They are looking at you the way you look at a lamppost on the sidewalk. You register it, and then you immediately go back to worrying about whether your shirt looks weird. Your audience is not watching you. They're watching themselves watch you. The moment you internalize this, the chains of social anxiety rust into dust. History offers a brutal testament to this illusion. Take Galileo Galilei. When he pointed his telescope at the heavens and declared that the Earth moved around the sun, the entire intellectual establishment of his time condemned him as a heretic. He wasn't afraid of the science, he was afraid of the judgment of the cardinals and philosophers, the ghost of societal rejection. Yet what happened? He recanted publicly to save his skin, but under his breath he whispered, "Eppur si muove," and yet it moves. The judgment he feared did not stop the Earth from spinning. The ghost he bowed to had no power over the physics of your destiny. The crowd that boos you today will be dead and forgotten in 100 years. But the work you were too afraid to start, that work could outlast empires. Let's make it real, brutally modern. Think about the last time you didn't raise your hand in a meeting, didn't pitch that radical idea, or didn't ask that person out. You told yourself you were being realistic, but you were lying. You were protecting your ego from a potential no. That no exists only in the hypothetical theater of your mind. I want you to imagine a man sitting in a prison cell for 20 years, believing the guards are watching his every move. He behaves perfectly, curtails his speech, and starves his soul. On the day of his release, he discovers the prison has been abandoned for 15 years. The guards were never there. He was guarding himself. That is you. That is me. We are prisoners in an empty jail, saluting a warden who clocks out at 5 p.m. and never clocks back in.
The fictional story of the invisible audience is a powerful psychological anchor. Imagine a young painter locked in a garret, painting masterpieces she refuses to show anyone. Why? Because she hears the cruel laughter of critics who haven't even seen her work. She lives in terror of their hypothetical ridicule. One day, a fire consumes her building. She saves her canvases, but realizes the critics' building didn't burn. They are still there, clueless, not caring. She finally hangs her work in a gallery, and the critics, they walk past, glance, and walk out. They didn't destroy her, they just didn't care. That indifference is the ultimate weapon. They don't care enough to destroy you, which means they don't care enough to stop you. You are the protagonist of your life, but to 99% of the world, you are background music. Now, let's dig deeper into the human psyche. Why do we cling to this phantom judgment? It is evolutionary biology. 10,000 years ago, being exiled from the tribe meant being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Social rejection equaled physical death. But today, you don't live in a tribe. You live in a metropolis of 8 million strangers. The amygdala, that ancient alarm system in your brain,
cannot tell the difference between a tribe casting you out and a toxic boss giving you a bad review. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and you retreat to the cave of mediocrity. This is cognitive dissonance in its purest form. You know you deserve more, but your biology screams for safety, so you settle. The tragedy of your generation is not poverty. It is privilege paralyzed by fear of what others think. The shift happens when you ask yourself a brutal question. What if I do it and they do judge me? What is the worst that physically happens? They whisper, they point, they unfollow, they gossip, and then they go home and forget your name while brushing their teeth. The worst-case scenario is a fleeting thought in a distracted mind. Contrast that with the worst-case scenario of not doing it. Regret, a slow, corrosive acid that eats away at your soul at 3 a.m. when you're 70 years old, staring at the ceiling, wondering what your life would have looked like if you had just ignored the noise. That is the true terror. The judgment of others is a paper cut. The judgment of yourself is a slow bleeding that never heals. Take a real-life titan, Steve Jobs. He was fired from the company he founded. Imagine the judgment then. The headlines screamed failure. The ghost of public opinion told him he was finished. But Jobs didn't try to appease the ghost. He studied calligraphy, started Next, and bought Pixar. He didn't run from judgment. He outlived it. When he returned to Apple, he didn't ask focus groups what they wanted because consumers don't know what they want until you show it to them. He realized that the audience is reactive, not prophetic. He was the visionary, not them. He understood that if you listen to the mockingbird, you will never learn to sing your own song. The moment you stop asking for permission to exist, you become the authority.
The psychological reframe you need today is what I call self-relevance over social relevance. When you wake up, ask yourself, does this action serve my core mission, or does it just protect my social standing? If it serves your mission, the social fallout is irrelevant noise. Eleanor Roosevelt put it with surgical precision. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That consent is given every time you hesitate. I want you to visualize a dial in your head. The dial is your FPOO, fear of people's opinions. Right now, it is turned up to 11. I want you to reach up, grab that dial, and crank it down to 0. When it hits 0, you will hear absolute silence for the first time in your adult life. In that silence, you will hear your own voice, and that voice is a roar. History again shows us the flip side. When Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, she didn't look around to see if the white passengers judged her. She looked inside. She saw a moral imperative that outweighed the entire weight of a segregated society. She didn't defeat racism in one night. She defeated the internal racism of fear in 1 second. That single action, born from absolute indifference to the judgment of the powerful, sparked a movement that changed the world. Do you think she worried about what the bus driver thought of her? Do you think she cared if people called her difficult or stubborn? She welcomed the labels, because labels are just cages for people who are too afraid to be free. Your life is your bus. You are either the passenger complaining about the route, or you are the driver who takes the wheel and breaks the map. Consider the final psychological truth. Cognitive dissonance kills more dreams than failure ever will. When you live a life incongruent with your highest vision, your brain produces anxiety to force you back into alignment. That gnawing feeling in your gut, that restlessness is not depression. It is your spirit suffocating under the weight of other people's expectations. You were born an original, and you are dying a copy. The ghost of judgment tells you to be careful, to be small, to be digestible. But digestible things are eaten and excreted. Indigestible things, the bold, the loud, the disruptive, those are the things that change the architecture of reality. Be the rock in the digestive tract of society. Let them choke on your audacity. So I ask you again, and I demand an answer, not with your lips, but with your actions today. What if the person you are most afraid of disappointing does not actually exist? The answer is simple, sharp, and liberating.
That person is a hologram projected by your own lack of self-worth. Walk through it. Today, do one thing that the ghost would forbid. Speak your truth. Launch your project. Wear the bright color. Ask the impossible question. When the anxiety spikes, recognize it as the ghost's last death rattle. Keep walking, because on the other side of that fear is the version of you that doesn't ask for motivation, because that version is the motivation. The prison door is open. The guards are dead. The only person left to offend is the person you used to be, and he deserves to be offended. Step into your brutal, glorious, unapologetic future now.